Hello everyone, my name is Beatrice. My horrible stepmother has done everything she can to make my life a living hell. Are all stepmothers like this? Give me a plus sign if you've been through something like this. And now, I'll tell you about a special time in my life. My family and I had moved to a new state at the time. My dad and stepmom were running their own business, but at some point, the business started to limp. Then my stepmother decided that the best thing to do would be to merge our company with another, larger one. The head of the company was an old friend of my father's, who had the only heir, Travis. It was with him that my stepmother decided to introduce her daughter, Diana, so that the subsequent relationship of convenience would bring positive results for the business and the family as a whole. Travis came to our house. He turned out to be a real hottie. I remembered him from my childhood, but he had matured noticeably. Diana had a crush on him right away, and I'd been in love with him since I was a little girl. Secretly, I envied my half-sister with all my heart, wishing I were in her place. At dinner, Diane, our parents, and Travis's father sat around the table, eating and talking loudly. I ran around and helped with the maid service. It was my job, as the stepmother's unloved daughter, to work like Cinderella. My father secretly pitied me but could do nothing to keep his wife from pressuring me. All I had to do was to accept it all so that Dad would not be disappointed. I silently set the table and put away the dirty dishes. Travis's father praised me constantly but showed more interest in Diane. Finally, near the end of the evening, I was putting dessert on plates. Travis came over to help, and out of clumsiness, I dropped the pie right on his jacket. I was so embarrassed that I started wiping his suit, but he just laughed. "Remember when you brought me a cake for my birthday as a kid? I opened the door and you were in such a hurry that you tripped and the cake got all over my face," he asked. I felt even more embarrassed then, and then we reminisced about how I had apologized and wiped it off in the same way as now. We chatted for a while, then Travis said he was glad to see me. After dinner, my stepmother looked pleased, and her daughter even happier. I cleared the table and went into the room and sat in front of the mirror and took a sun pendant out of the box. Travis had given it to me when I was a kid. We agreed then that we would date when we grew up. "Yeah, looks like I'll never get to do that," I said, and sadly went to bed. A couple of days later, Diana and I went shopping. I lugged her bags around while she picked out another outfit for her dates with Travis. There were so many bags that my arms nearly fell off. I was walking down the escalator and tripped, but someone caught me. It was Travis. Diane and I were surprised to meet him, and he suggested a threesome lunch. "A threesome? Beatrice must be tired. Maybe she should go home," Diane said, but Travis said, "She'll just rest while we eat lunch." We sat down at the nearest cafe. Diane chatted nonstop, and I just sat and drank lemonade. Then someone else called her over, and Travis said, "How are you? You look tired." "Wow, is that the pendant I gave you as a kid?" he asked, and I nodded. "Yes, it is." "I didn't think you kept it." I smiled and remained silent. We chatted for a while, then Travis drove us home and helped us carry our bags. I grabbed the last one from the car. Diane was already inside, and Travis suddenly took my hand. "Let's have coffee later," he suggested. I wanted to say no, but he added, "You wouldn't say no to an old friend." And I agreed. "Beatrice, calm down, it's not a date. Maybe he wants to know more about Diane." "Yeah, that's right, I'm sure he does. I'll wear pants. They're a little too small for me, but I won't eat much," I told myself and headed to the cafe. The evening went great. After we went for a walk, I felt that my pants were getting tighter after our heavy dinner. Travis was actively talking about something. He waved his hand and caught my hand. My phone fell. I reached up sharply and crunch. Oh no, my pants came apart at the seams. "What? No, what the hell?" I yelled. People walking by laughed, and he took off his jacket and tied it around my waist. "You're still as cute and clumsy as ever," he said. Our gazes met, and I kissed him. Out of surprise, I jumped away from him. "I'm sorry. Damn it, it was a mistake," I told him, but he just hugged me and kissed me again. We talked for a long time about it, and Travis admitted that he cared for me and that he wanted to go out with me. We both knew it was a risk, but how could we give up on our feelings, especially when they were mutual? From that moment on, all our dates were secret. More than once, Diane had flashed that I was corresponding with someone, but I told her I was a guy from the internet and that he lived far away and rarely came here. Still, it was impossible to miss the fact that my parents were getting ready to merge companies. After Travis postponed 24 dates with Diane, she started freaking out.
How dare he? He says he's busy, but he's out with someone else,
she yelled inside the house. My stepmother immediately asked what was wrong, and Diana threw a phone with a picture of me and him on the table. Only you couldn't see my face. That same night, they invited Travis and his father to our house for dinner. Travis's father was terrified. He apologized profusely to my stepmother, and I just tried to stay out of sight. They made Travis promise to mend his ways and make it up to them, and I felt anger and shame and jealousy. Terrible jealousy. Everyone left. My family went to bed, and he asked me to come out to his place. I got in the car and he hugged me right away. He said he wanted to confess everything, that he was tired of hiding our relationship. I asked him to wait a little longer, and then I kissed him and went into the house. On the threshold stood my stepmother.
"Ah, are you awake?"
I asked. She looked angry.
"I saw the whole thing. How dare you steal your sister's boyfriend? Scum!"
she said angrily and punched me in the face. I cried, and she said she wouldn't let the business collapse. She immediately packed my things and told me I was going away to study in California for 3 years.
"What? No, you can't!"
I objected, but she said she'd report me to my father otherwise, and he would be disappointed in me, not to mention Diane. I had no choice. I texted Travis that it was over, that I was back with my ex, and I left in the morning. I was devastated. My stepmother sent her man as a chaperone, watching my every move, checking my phone. Travis called and wrote, and I couldn't even answer. All I had left was the pendant. So 4 months went by. My father was told that it was my decision, and then one day, he broke the awful news.
"Honey, come over. Diane and Travis are going to announce their engagement. You must be present at the restaurant,"
my father said. I returned full of feelings of desolation and brokenness. Travis just ignored me, and Diane walked around happily. My stepmother spun around.
"Don't do anything stupid,"
she said. When the guests had eaten, I went to the bathroom to wash my hands and ran into Travis.
"Sorry, I didn't know the bathroom was shared,"
he said and was about to leave, but I held on to his hand. "Wait."
"What?"
"My congratulations."
"Are you kidding me?"
"What do you mean?"
"So where's your boyfriend? Why didn't you bring him?"
"I didn't."
"What? Or are you just gonna leave him suddenly in the middle like you did to me? I can't believe I fell for you. You're so pathetic. I was wrong about you. You just used me, and yes, that pendant, you don't deserve it."
He wanted to rip it off my neck, but I grabbed his hand and cried,
"No, it's all I have left of you. Since we can't be together, at least let me keep it,"
I told him.
"What do you mean?"
he asked, and then I heard my stepmother's voice. Out of confusion, I shoved Travis into the stall and covered her back.
"There you are. Who does co-ed toilets anyway? Let's pick another restaurant for the engagement party,"
she said. I went to wash my hands. My stepmother stood next to me.
"Beatrice, like I said, no nonsense. Diane will marry Travis, period. Don't you dare go near him. Otherwise, I will send you to another country away from him. Do you understand? People like you can't live happily ever after with someone like him. You're out of his league, okay? Thank you for sitting quietly all these months, like I asked you to. Our company is about to sign a cooperation agreement," she said.
The stall opened. Travis stood there in a daze.
"What? My boy, what are you doing here?"
she asked. He walked up to her and said,
"I will never marry your daughter, okay? And you can't have our company,"
he said, took my hand and led me out of there. My stepmother ran after us, started screaming and calling me names, and Travis silently drove me away. Then what? My dad divorced her. He realized she was only with him for the money. Well, we're finally openly dating. What do you guys think?
Hi there, my name is Eliza. I had a huge shock not so long ago, and it made me really nervous. It's all about my sister, or rather, the fact that my parents deprived me and left me with nothing. This is so unfair. I think you understand me, because many of my friends also do not get along very well with their brothers and sisters, but I have a slightly different case, because we are not related. Well, in general, now I will tell you everything in more detail. While you watch, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to write your opinion under the video. I'll read them all. As I said, I have a sister, and she is my half-sister. How did this happen? I was born the only child in the family. We have never been very poor. On the contrary, I always got everything I wanted. My parents spared no expense on me, but in return, they both worked hard and spent almost no time with me. At first, I was worried about this, but then I got used to it and even found advantages in the fact that they were not around. They bought me everything. No birthday or Christmas passed without me getting gifts. When I grew up, the amount of expenses increased. And so, on the last recent holiday, they gave me the car that I asked for. Yes, I was very happy. We were going to get together after Christmas and celebrate the holiday properly. Our maid prepared the food, I dressed up and waited for my parents for dinner. The doorbell rang in the house. I ran to open it in joy and saw a girl I didn't know. She was a little older than me, and she looked cocky and overconfident. I didn't like the look of her, so I asked her what she wanted, and she came into the house, sat down at the table, took off her gloves, and introduced herself. "My name is Ariana. I'm your sister," she said. These words sounded like a threat, and I thought it was some kind of stupid joke. It can't be, because I was the only one in the family. I told her to get the hell out of there to avoid trouble with the police, and then she said she wasn't going anywhere, that her father would come and explain everything. Then the doorbell rang and my parents came in. They reacted to Ariana as if they had known her for a long time. I realized that I was about to have a long, unpleasant conversation. My father kissed us, my mother sat down next to me, and they told me that Ariana would now live with us because she was my half-sister. Her mother recently died due to illness, so now she will live with us because she is my father's daughter. I gave my mother a surprised look, and she looked as if she'd accepted the news long ago and wasn't even the least bit embarrassed. I was so angry. What kind of right does she have to just barge into my house and pump my license? Ariana began to eat and then said that now she would choose a room for herself and she moved in next to me. The staff brought her suitcases and I realized that this is really not a prank, that this is real. My spirits sank at once. I asked my father how it happened, and he said that he used to be married, that my mother is his second marriage and she knew about it perfectly well. In short, only I did not know. As soon as I imagined that I would now have to see her face every day, I felt sick. But it turned out that the worst was yet to come. Somehow a week passed, we kept bumping into each other in the bathroom. She spent hours making up, washing, and it bothered me. In general, I tried to pretend that she wasn't there. She didn't want to talk to me either. Ariana would kind of accidentally push me. I always did stuff in return. She came to my school and tried to get all the attention. She wagged her tail in front of all our boys at school, pretended to be pretty in front of the teachers and my friends. They even doubted at some point that she was so bad, as I said. She managed to be the best in her class, but not in mine. I didn't let her. A second week passed, then a month. I shared this news with my friends and they just sympathized. Well, after Christmas, my father gathered us all together again for dinner, and there was another conversation to be had. I was sitting in a bad mood and sarcastically asked, "Is there another child behind the door?" My father obliquely looked at me and then told me that now in their business with Mother, there are big difficulties and risk, and it would be necessary to temporarily transfer part of the property to someone. And I assumed it would be to me because I was the rightful heir. "We will transfer your fortune to Ariana and then return it back," he said, adding that these were necessary measures. What? You want to leave me with nothing? I was indignant, and a sly smile spread on Ariana's face. My parents immediately tried to calm me down, but I didn't even want to listen. You see, Ariana is already of age. She has no loans, no debts, and she has almost nothing to do with our family. It still didn't calm me down. Can't my parents see how mean and cunning she is? How can they trust her that much? But Mom and Dad wouldn't even listen. The very next day, a lawyer came to us and they gave my entire fortune to her. I was ready to explode, and Ariana was even more smug. I said through my teeth that I wouldn't let them take everything away from me. So she whispered, "I've already taken everything," and then went to her room. She then took the keys to my car and said that it was hers now too. My father didn't even want to hear about conflicts. He insisted that we should be friends with each other, but I didn't need such a nasty sister. And what do you think happened next? After a couple of weeks, we had strange purchases in the house. She ordered new furniture, sold my car, and bought another one. Ariana did not deny herself anything. But why did I see everything and my parents didn't? In the end, I asked for help from a lawyer, hired him for the rest of my money, and he said that everything was legal and that nothing could be done. Now Ariana is the official owner of everything that was mine. I cried nonstop. My mother just said it was temporary, but I didn't believe them. And while Ariana spent my money, I did not understand how I would continue to live. And then a letter came to us. I saw it first. It was addressed to Ariana. It turned out to be from a lady. I opened it and found out that her mother was actually alive, that she moved to live in a neighboring city and is waiting for her daughter. Can you imagine? They decided to pull off such a scam. I immediately took the letter to my father at work. Dad saw it, read it, and said nothing but, "Go home." I came home outraged and upset, ready to kill my sister. In the evening, some people came to us. They signed something, discussed it, and Dad said that their capital was empty. And then they left, taking something in an envelope. It seemed to me that my whole world had collapsed. I sat down in the room and stupidly sobbed. I was now basically homeless. Then Ariana, Dad, and Mom came into my room. They started to calm me down, and Ariana said, "Calm down. Can I take my fee now?" she asked. My father handed her the same envelope as the other people, and she signed it and kissed me. "Don't worry, they'll explain everything to you," she said, and left. In general, it turned out that she was a hired actress who was supposed to play my father's daughter for the tax service. In general, I didn't quite understand this business, but she left my inheritance to me and left. Business improved, the case turned out well. I almost went crazy from such a circus. Well, what wouldn't you do for business, right?